Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we are going to go into the Impact results for the 9th of June 2020, and that is kind of amazing slash amusing in the sense that I can't believe we're already in June. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment below if you are interested in continuing to follow the episodic television of most of the major brands in professional wrestling today, and also review content, interviews, all sorts of good stuff. But anyhow, this episode of Impact, not so bad. Really, overall, a good show with some good stuff. I'd say half and half. But still, there are a lot of things that Impact is doing that other major companies, WWE, AEW, maybe not MLW, although I haven't watched their stuff in a while and I've been meaning to. But many of the major companies could learn from Impact, which is a weird thing to say with how they've struggled in the past few years, but they're really seeming to find their stride as a company under Anthem, and that is a good thing for all of professional wrestling. Anyhow, so we move into a video package of the focus on the number one contenders tournament. And Trey Miguel was mysteriously taken to the back, prompting Zachary Wentz to take his spot, go after Ace Austin. Unfortunately for him, Austin becomes the number one contender. We get a refresher as well of Taya Valkyrie and Jordana Grace, because their feud continues here this week in our television main event. So it's a good idea to remind everybody of what that's all about. Show opens with D'Amore and Don Callis debating what to do with the World Championship and the Trey Miguel attack. We open with the first match of the evening, Michael Elgin defeating Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan. I make no bones about the fact I'm not an Elgin fan, and I know a lot of people are, and I've actually gotten some flack for it in my inbox, but I will not change my mind on this. I think he's terribly overrated, and I think it's too late. I don't see pushing him to the top as being in the best interest of Impact as a company. He's got the look, he's got power moves, but that's about it. And I just don't see where all that journey is coming from. So, anyway, so Elgin makes his entrance, but Shamrock is very impatient. He runs down, starts beating up Elgin. Callihan enters via the lights on, lights off approach to things. Match gets started relatively quickly. Shamrock and Elgin brawl while Callihan watches. Powerbomb. Shamrock leaves the ring and Callihan enters to battle against Michael Elgin. They brawl to the outside. Elgin catches him on a dive and slams him into the apron. Shamrock comes down with an over-the-top rope dive on both guys. Elgin and Shamrock make it to the ring. Elgin hits a missile dropkick on Shamrock to take him down. Again, a guy that big, should he really be doing a missile dropkick? It's just, he doesn't know what he wants to be, and it's interesting and a struggle. Anyway, Callihan is there to distract Elgin, allowing Shamrock to get back on offense. Callihan and Shamrock temporarily on the same side, but that doesn't last. So Elgin goes after both of them, takes them out with a double clothesline. Falcon Arrow for 2 count on Callihan. Elgin works over Callihan for several minutes, tossing him around the ring like a rag doll. Elgin goes for strikes, and that makes an impact. Shamrock comes back to attack Elgin and Callahan and Shamrock take on Elgin. They take him out with a kick combination and a belly-to-belly suplex. Callahan and Shamrock started striking until Callahan takes out Shamrock's leg, hits a diving elbow, and picks up a near fall. Elgin returns and exchanges strikes with Callahan. If Elgin's as powerful as everybody wants to believe, shouldn't he be able to take Callahan out pretty easily? But with Shamrock's real-life MMA experience, shouldn't Shamrock be able to take both of them out? That's why this match story doesn't make sense, even though lots of reporters like it. I don't like the layout of this contest at all. Anyway, so Sammy gets the upper hand with a kick and elbow, only for Elgin to come back with a released German suplex. Shamrock locks in an ankle lock to break some momentum. Elgin and Shamrock exchange strikes. Elgin hits a series of DDTs, but Ken keeps getting up, killing the DDT by proxy. I remember when that was a finish. So Elgin goes for an enziguri. Shamrock counters into an ankle lock. Elgin gets to the ropes. Shamrock pulls him back in the middle. Ken goes after Callahan, but Callahan manages to get free. Elgin tosses Shamrock into an exposed turnbuckle and hits a spinning back fist on Callahan. He hits an Elgin bomb on Shamrock for the win. So you're telling me that a guy who has been complaining and kvetching for a year about not being champion can beat a former UFC standout star and the first champion in the history of the Impact organization? No, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I don't think it's credible. I think Ken Shamrock should be saved as a special attraction. I think Ken Shamrock should be even considered to, even at 50 years old or whatever he is, should be considered to be the Impact Champion over Elgin any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I don't think this is credible. Anyway, they tease a return to Shamrock and Callahan wrestling again somewhere down the road as the two are staring at each other. Madison Rayne and Josh Matthews run down the matches for tonight. Gia Miller, who's made to look like a bumbling idiot throughout because she can't get interviews with many of the talent she tries to, interviews Jordana Grace about being prepared, taking time off. Grace said she didn't like all the time off, but she's been studying and training, but it's gotten kind of boring. She's used to competing. She's ready to compete. Backstage, Desmond, Xavier, and Zachary Wentz talk about becoming number one contenders. When Trey Miguel arrives, he's mad, wanted to know who jumps him last week. Xavier brought up that he'd seen Ace Austin in the bathroom while Trey was being attacked. He wants to bring this up to Reno Scum. And then Wentz, the North makes their return. Next week it's the Rascals versus the North. Wentz tries to imply that maybe the North attacked Wentz, and so the North said they were not even in the country, and maybe Wentz had done it because he didn't want Trey to be the first champion of the group. I don't know. I assume this leads to a Radicals breakup somewhere down the road. I'm not as invested in those characters as some may want me to be, so I don't really care. I mean, I hadn't watched Impact in years up until January of this year, so 6 months in, they really haven't made me care about the Radicals enough to where it's like, or the Rascals enough, to do much with them in terms of carrying on their week-to-week story progression. Tasha Steelz, who's really, really good, with Kiera Hogan, defeats Susie. Steelz talks trash, and she bullies Susie. She hits a couple of takedowns and a bulldog. Does Susie, causing Steele to bail out to get her bearings back. Susie tries to attack with a dive. Steele gets in the way and kicks her. Tasha works over Susie, stomps and kicks and neck breakers for a near fall. Steele's knocks her down with strikes. Gets surprised with a schoolgirl out of nowhere, and then Kiera Hogan is kind of involved in things at ringside a little bit. She's really good, animated and all that good stuff. Susie makes a comeback series of palm strikes and then a Fez press. She catches Tasha with an elbow. Tasha connects with an enziguri to cut Susie off. Tasha goes for the top rope maneuvers, but Susie catches her with another palm strike, and then there's a near fall off that. Hogan is out interrupting her talking trash. Tasha sneaks up and hits her with the OK for the win. Not a bad match. Tasha Steele's really, really good for her age and experience level, way ahead of where she should be. Obviously showing she was very well trained. I'd have to dig a little more to find out where she was trained, but whoever it was did an awesome job. Miller says she's supposed to interview Ace Austin, but he makes her wait. And Austin said that he's the number one contender, but since Tessa wasn't coming, he's the rightful world champion. Moose approaches him and tells him at Slammiversary he should be challenging for the TNA belt. Ace says it's a nice looking belt with great deals of sarcasm. Hernandez walks up, tells Moose he wants a title for the match. He wants a match for the title next week. Title for the match? Not quite. Moose walks away, doesn't say anything. Deanna Purrazzo arrives to the building. Steele and Hogan celebrate in the back. They're approached by Havoc and Nevaeh. Hogan tries to talk her way out of this. Nevaeh challenges them to a match. Hogan says they've already wrestled, and that's not going to work. Then they do the stupid flashback thing. Notable here only because they bring Mike and Maria Bennett into this. Perhaps the Bennetts are returning at the Slammiversary deal because they keep plugging that so many people have been released and maybe somebody will bring them back. Rohit Raju confronts Rhino about attacking him last week instead of taking him under his wing. Rhino said Rohit is crying about not being given anything, so instead he jumps Rhino from behind. Willie Mack and Cousin Jake defeats Chris Bay and Johnny Swinger. Not a fan of this at all. Waste of a segment. Willie Mack, I don't get it. Cousin Jake, I get it, but don't like it. Chris Bay is a really talented guy being wasted, and Swinger is a good comedy gimmick, but I'm not sure that this is the best use of Bay at this point in his career. Anyway, Bay teases wanting to take on Mack. He tags Swinger in. Swinger nails some offense early, and Mack hits an atomic drop, tags Jake in. Jake in, tosses Swinger around for a bit before he tags back out. Swinger, there's a cheap shot with a cutoff to Mack. Bay tags in, works him over, and then tags back to Swinger. Lots of heel tactics, lots of cheating and all that. Mack caught Swinger with a low kick, enough to tag Jake back in. Jake comes in, runs wild on both guys, and then misses a corner spear when Bay's pulled out of the way by Swinger. We go to commercial, we come back, Bey and Swinger cut off Jake and work him over, and then they're using every dirty trick they can. Swinger and Bey try to pull off a double team, but that doesn't work out for anybody involved. Mac is tagged back in, and Mac comes in, hits a Samoan drop and a moonsault on both Swinger and Bey. Cousin Jake clotheslines Bey to the floor. Swinger went for swinging neckbreaker, but Mac reverses it and hits a stunner for the win. Not a bad match, fun match, but it feels kind of indie-ish. And it took up more time than it probably should have. But for what it was and its placement on the card, there's nothing technically wrong with it. Bey and Swinger jump Jake and Mac, but Cody Deaner makes a return, makes the save. So we go to Rosemary and Johnny Bravo drinking at the bar. Rosemary once again tries to get Bravo to bite the poison apple. Talia there to interrupt and asks why Bravo wasn't welcoming her with a party. Rosemary stood up for Bravo. Talia tells him off and gives Rosemary a micro brawler as a present. Rosemary told Talia she's got a gift for her, and that's tonight's title shot. D'Amore comes out, addresses the situation with the world title, says they've got a number one contender crowned in Ace Austin, but Tessa Blanchard's still not at the building. Austin comes out. Austin makes fun of him. He said he's going to be crowned the new world champion. Michael Elgin comes out to claim his rightful shot at the championship. Elgin says the title is rightfully his. If Ace wants it, he has to go through Elgin. Please let Ace Austin go through Elgin. Please let anybody go through Elgin. This would be good for business. Elgin said that no one could handle him, but Eddie Edwards comes out, makes his own return here. Eddie says he wasn't scared of Elgin or anybody else. He says he belongs in the Rebellion match that didn't take place, mentioning that he was still holding the title shot trophy. And D'Amore says no one gets handouts in Impact, and that if they wanted to be champion, they'd have to fight for it. Slammiversary, it's going to be a 5-way. Tessa will defend against Eddie Edwards, Michael Elgin, Ace Austin, and Trey Miguel, who comes in, jumps Ace Austin. Then the four that are in the building all brawl around. I guess it's a way to get the belt off Tessa without her actually losing. I mean, I guess it makes sense, and as long as it's not put on Elgin, I'm good with whatever they do, although I would put it on Ace Austin because he's the most charismatic guy they have. Gia Miller tries to interview Deanna Purrazzo, but she's not in her locker room. Then Cancel Culture comes down, and Jacob Christ, with Cancel Culture, defeats Crazy Steve. Christ jumps Steve to start the match. Steve's quick to recover. He hits some strikes, a low drop kick and a senton for an easy 2. He hits a side leg sweep for a second pin. And then we go to Christ finally manages to use the ropes to get an advantage. Works over the arm for a bit. Steve recovers, hits a few takedowns, and gets a near fall. Joe Ryan distracts Steve, allowing Chris to get the kick combo and take down Steve for a 3 count. I mean, this match is just, it was flat. It was pointless. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Jordana Grace against Taya Valkyrie with Johnny Bravo and Rosemary to retain the championship. Match was originally scheduled for Rebellion. Grace is so good. I hope she goes somewhere more visible once her contract with Impact is up. She rushes Taya at the start, but Taya runs in and follows up with a tope, taking them all out. Jordana hits control and rams Taya in the corner, hits a suplex for a pin attempt. Jordana clotheslined and chopped Taya from corner to corner. Taya had enough and chopped back and successfully hits Grace, causing her to get more aggressive. Jordana follows up with more strikes. Um, Distraction from Bravo was enough for Taya to attack from behind at this point, and then um, she talks trash. This costs her. Taya gains full control, sending Jordana into the steel steps on the floor. Taya works her over back in the ring and uses chokes and knees and all that stuff, earning a near fall. Taya goes for a superplex, but argues so much with the referee that she wastes her chance. Grace starts power slamming Taya every time she is attacked. She tosses Taya into the ring post, follows with her running knees, and hits a Vader bomb back in the ring for 2 count. Grace then um, um, tries for the Grace driver, gets blocked, and then tries for a sleeper, but this doesn't work because of the height difference. Taya distracts herself with Bravo now coming close to being taken out by Grace. Taya tries to lock in a sharpshooter, but Grace escapes that. Taya goes for the road to Valhalla, but Grace fights out of that and clotheslines her several times. Rosemary and Bravo keep talking to each other, and they're not paying attention to Taya. So, obviously, they're going to split off sooner or later. Probably sooner, hopefully sooner. Probably Slammiversary would be the place to do the split off if you're going to do it. After the match, Deanna Peruzzo finally makes her debut. Goes face to face with Jordana Grace, making it clear that her intentions are for the championship. She offers a handshake, but instead takes down Grace with a brutal armbar. Perrazzo stands tall with the championship. Um, ultimately, this is decent. I think Dana has probably one of the better upsides in women's wrestling right now. Interesting why she signs with Impact. Perhaps there weren't that many other options, but suffice to say, could be interesting. Um, Not a bad show overall. We're headed to Slammiversary. I can't believe this brand has been around almost 18 years. And, I mean, they're still doing pay per views, they're still doing good stuff. Many a week they are putting together good programming worth checking out. In any event, I encourage you to do so. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.